just wanted to clean my camera. So we are gonna make some lasagna today. My ear was itching. We're gonna make some lasagna. Real easy, real simple. But we're gonna use ground chicken instead of ground turkey. I'm also using Ray's homemade sauce. And then we have our green seasoning, we have tomato sauce, we have our moon spice. So if you don't already know, moon spice will be ready at the end of the month. And then our lasagna noodles. So what I'm gonna do is, I already got my pot boiling. I'm cutting up my aromatics here. Okay, so the only thing that's left is my garlic, which I smashed it first. And then I'm just giving it I'm not gonna say a dice, but a nice chop. So I'm giving it a really nice chop. And then we are going to start frying these. I have some red bell pepper and then I also have some onions. Okay, so that is our aromatics. I'm gonna go ahead and clean my ground meat. So in this water, I have a little bit of lemon juice, and then we have our ground chicken. So I'm gonna use 3 1-pound packs of ground chicken. Okay, so I'm just gonna drop it in there, just like that. Okay, so we're gonna use 3 1-pound packs. So the water has lemon in it. I squeezed the lemon into the water, and then we're just gonna use that ground meat. I'll still help you if you need help. Okay? If you need help, I'll help you. Alright, so I'm just letting all of that water come out. Okay, so we're gonna let that sit. And then we're gonna go ahead and turn on the stove. So you guys know I'm using my handy dandy Dutch pot. You guys know I love my Dutch pot, right? So I have a link to my Amazon store where you're able to get the Dutch pot that you guys have been asking about. So you guys can get all of that stuff in the Amazon store. There we go. Make sure we're all on the same page. There we go. All right. So my water is boiling over here. Okay, and then this will be the pot that I'm going to put my sauce in. I already put salt in my water. So I'm using just some Mueller's lasagna. So I'm just putting them in there. I'm going to use the whole box. That's me. I don't like to use the one that you can put in the oven. I don't like that one. Okay, so I like to boil my noodles like normal. And then I'm going to get some more water. I'm going to go ahead and let this boil because I know I'm going to need some more for my noodles. And then I also have a lasagna pan. All right. The whole time I had the wrong burner on. Just so everybody knows, I had the wrong burner on by mistake. All right, if you guys have not already done so, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're new here, and also subscribe to my other YouTube channel, which is Crystal Williams Online. I put about 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil in my pot here. So we're gonna go ahead and start our ground chicken. So I'm gonna let this get slightly warm, and then we'll start the ground. And then once that's warm, I'm gonna go ahead and start sauteing my aromatics. Let me just move my noodles around, make sure that they don't stick together. Hey, Colleen. So let's see where everybody's from this evening. Put your city or your state where you're located in the chat for me. You never know who you know. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put in our aromatics. Hey, Atlanta. So we put our aromatics in the pot here. So we're just gonna let them go ahead and sweat. Let our onions get nice and translucent before we add the ground chicken. Because remember, this is going into the lasagna, so you do want to make sure that they're super tender. Okay, so that's very important. Thank you, Colleen. Mobile, Alabama. Hello. Hey, Bronx, Chicago. So my stove is on high, so everybody is on the same page with me. I'm trying to keep you guys on the same page. The stove is on high. Alright, so our onions look like they're ready. I'm going to go ahead and start adding in my ground chicken. Now I'll start seasoning this in just a minute, so you guys just wait. Just hold on. Okay. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and start adding in our spices. So I'm gonna have some black pepper. You guys know my favorite, paprika. I'm also going to add in some of a green seasoning. Remember, I made this from scratch on my other channel. The link to my other channel is in the description box. So I'm going to use this large spoon, which is about equivalent to about 2 tablespoons of green seasoning. So that's going to go in there. And then, of course, the star of the show, moon spice. So we're going to go ahead and get a nice heaping of moon spice, because that is going to be our seasoning for our food. Okay, so I don't even have to add anything else. That is the seasoning for my food tonight. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to mix that baby up. Now remember, this is ground chicken, you guys. It's not turkey, it's not beef. This already smells good. You guys see that moon spice? Look moon spice, the green seasoning. My oven is already on 425. I'm just gonna spread this out, let it do its thing. In the meantime, I'm gonna put my spices back. Make sure that my noodles are moving and grooving and not getting stuck together. I'm putting all my spices back because I really don't need those. I'm done with those. Hey South Africa. Hey Bree. So if you guys haven't already mentioned where you're from and also thumbs up this live, go ahead and do so. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. It's free. Okay. So while this is cooking, I'm actually going to get a can of tomato paste. So you guys just watch out for the ground chicken. Add some tomato paste if this wants to open. So before I add my tomato paste, I'm going to go ahead and start mixing this baby up. So the color that you're seeing, that's the moon spice and also the green seasoning. You guys should definitely try to make that green seasoning. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this little hole right here. And I'm going to take some tomato paste and put it right there. My noodles are cooking right now. So we're going to make sure that these are kind of like al dente-ish. How can you get the moon spice? It'll be ready the end of the month. Hey, Georgia, Indiana. Okay, so you guys saw me put the tomato paste right here in the middle. The reason for that is tomatoes hold a lot of water. So I allowed the tomato paste to start to sweat to extract a lot of the moisture out of the tomato paste, and then I'm going to mix it into my chicken, whereas the chicken is also creating its own water. And then this will get distributed into my ground chicken to start building that flavor. Like, people like make lasagna super boring. Like, don't make it boring. Like, everything in lasagna is about building flavor. You got to build it from your meat. I hate to see bland lasagna. Ew. Ew. So that's another reason why I use some ground chicken. You can use whatever ground meat you choose, turkey, beef. We use chicken. Okay, so I'm just gonna let this cook for just a couple more seconds, and then I'm gonna add in my tomato sauce. So I have a can of tomato sauce. Okay, I got a can of tomato sauce, and then I'm gonna add in my Rayos or Rays. This one is sensitive marinara. It doesn't have any onions or garlic in it. I've used my own seasonings, so it doesn't really need to have a ton of onions or garlic in it. So I'm just mixing it in with my chicken. And then I'm gonna turn off my lasagna noodles. Now there's one thing that I also do when it comes on to a tomato dish. Because you guys know, tomato is very acidic. Hey, grasshopper. Tomato is very, very acidic. So you can do one of two things. You can use carrots, or you can use baking soda to help reduce some of the acidity in your tomato sauce. Let me turn that down. So I did not use carrots. If you were going to use carrots, you should have already used them. All right, so we have some baking soda. Baking soda is one of those things, you guys. You do not use a lot. You use just a small amount, and it helps to neutralize some of the acidity in your food. In regards to your sauce, you do not use a lot, because if you use too much, it can change the flavor of your food. So that is no more than a teaspoon to tablespoon of baking soda, okay? If you guys notice, it started to froth because it notices it's an acidic environment. No different if you were to put it on a lime or a lemon. Okay, you're not gonna taste it in this because it's a small amount. But all you have to do is put a little bit of baking soda, and then you allow it to cook for a little bit longer to cook out the baking soda. And it also helps to lower the acidity when it affects the stomach. So if you have acid reflux, then the baking soda will help, a very small amount, or you can use grated carrots. Sweet also helps to counteract the acidity. Carrots is a great way to counteract acidity in spaghetti sauce. So you can also use carrots, but remember the carrots are gonna make it sweet. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put my top on this and allow it to just kind of stew for a second. Okay, and then I'll taste it after. You guys just hang tight. I'm gonna go ahead and pour out my blue. All right, so we are gonna get ready to build our lasagna. Let's check on our. So you guys see how the frothiness is gone? You just have to allow it to cook a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna taste this to make sure that it doesn't need any more seasoning. You gotta taste your sauce now. It needs some spice. So the good thing is the moon spice or moon sauce, whichever you want to call it, it's not spicy. Okay, it is not spicy. So I'm adding a little bit of spice. So this is Scotch bonnet sauce. Very careful with it. You can also use a Scotch bonnet pepper. Okay, and then I'm just gonna mix this up. It has enough seasoning, so we're not lacking in seasoning at all. I just like it to have a little small bite to it. I'm just making sure that everything is mixed. And then these little black balls you see here, that comes from the moon spice. It has pimento seed in it. Not an overbearing amount, but just enough to fragrant your food. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and move you guys on over so we can go ahead and compile our lasagna. All right, so we have our noodles, which let me take this little bit out. The noodles are al dente, okay? So they're not cooked all the way on purpose. And then we have our cheese. So I'm gonna use the same pot that I used to cook my noodles. Dry it out a little bit. And I'm gonna put my cheese in there so I got easy access to grab it. And then what I like to do, because you know you can get really heavy-handed with cheese, right? I leave a little bit back so I know this goes on the top. All right, so we got our noodles, we got our cheese, we have our pan, all right? And then we have our sauce. So I'm gonna use a ladle to use for my sauce because that little spoon that I have is not gonna do it. Let's see, there you go. Thank you. A little sugar will as well. Yes, sugar is good. We don't like ricotta cheese, so that's why I don't put any. They don't like that graininess of the cheese. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead. I already sprayed the pan with a little bit of Pam. I always like to put some sauce on the bottom too. I know some people, they just go straight in with the noodles. I put a little sauce on the bottom, not enough to make it where it can be too runny, but just to kind of coat the pan rather than it just being noodles. I don't like that. So I only put a little bit of sauce on the bottom. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and lay our noodles out. This is the part that I don't like because sometimes the noodles will be too big and then you end up having that side where it's just like a bunch of noodle. Like I don't like a bunch of noodles, so I cut mine whenever needed. Okay, so let's go ahead and start putting in our sauce. Yeah, the Rayo sauce is good. And Bertolli, the organic one, is also good. My stomach is growling right now. I can't wait to eat this little bit of lasagna. You see? Hungry. That looks really good. Thank you. I'm using ground chicken. So we use ground chicken today instead of ground turkey. And then my noodles are al dente. So this is going to be my final row of sauce. I gotta make sure that I have enough. I try to make sure that each crevice of this lasagna has sauce. Make sure we're not missing sauce anywhere. All right, so we're gonna put the last of our cheese. So this is where you're gonna put all your good cheese. Because remember, we saved some back on purpose. I used all of the sauce. No, we don't like ricotta cheese. My family does not like ricotta cheese. We don't like the pastiness of that ricotta. I don't like it. I'm just making sure that I get my corners. I feel like I'm about to run out, but I should be okay. Yes, I used all of it. Had just enough. So I'm gonna see if I have any more cheese in my refrigerator first. We are in luck. Got some Italian 5 cheese. This is gonna be nice and cheesy, so I can really pack it on. Alright, and then we're going to put some Italian, well, I said Italian seasoning. We're gonna put some oregano on top. You can use as little as much as you want. Oregano is nice, so I like it with the cheese because it's gonna just kind of go through. There we go. All right, so this is gonna go in the oven on 425. And I'm gonna take some foil paper. Okay, there's that. So what I'm gonna do is I wanna make sure that I don't allow the foil to hit my cheese. And then it's gonna go into the oven over here. Timer 30 minutes. And that's it, you guys. You never seen anybody wash ground meat? Yeah. I just fill a bowl with a little bit of water and lemon. I just squeeze half a lemon in the bowl. And I use the colander, and I put the ground meat in the colander, and I dip the colander in the water, lift it up, dip it, lift it up, and then I press it out. Some people do, some people don't. I mean, it's not a right or wrong way, but some people do, some people don't. That's looking good. Greetings from Europe. Hey, Europe. Yeah, the washing of the ground meat. I mean, you don't. Some people say you don't have to. Of course, they say you don't have to wash meat because technically you have to take. What do they say? You have to cook it to temperature anyway, so that doesn't change anything. That's light skin people. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the rest of this in here. I have no use for it. Some people, if you make a lot of lasagna, you can definitely save your noodles for another day. We do not make a lot of lasagna in here, so that noodle would sit there for a very long time. I wash ground meat too. I've always used a teaspoon of sugar in my tomato sauce. You can. The only reason why I didn't put it in this sauce is because for the lasagna, I don't really like it sweet. It's a hit or miss with them if they like spaghetti slightly sweet, but I didn't do it for the lasagna. That's my baking soda. All right, so let's put these in the sink. I'm not gonna stay on tonight. I mean, it's lasagna, you guys. I will put a story up of the finished product on my YouTube or a YouTube short so you guys can see what the lasagna turned out to be. And I think, I mean, that's really it. Tonight was a quick cook with me. Christian, you did your work? You did your work? Okay, I'm gonna look at it. Does it give the meat a mushy texture? Yes, it does. But remember, with ground meat or ground beef, typically your problem is that it's always somewhat dry, right? So all of that water evaporates as you're cooking it, and it really it helps the meat, if anything, rather than hurt the meat. Anything on the side? No, just lasagna. Hey, Brooklyn, just lasagna. Yeah. Bye, Sharon. Hey, Kitty. So yeah, it's in there now. It should be done in 30 minutes. The noodles, like I said, they're al dente with all that sauce. The minute it starts bubbling, noodles cooked, lasagna done. But it's 7:44. It should be done by 8:15, 8:20, depending on how it looks. At around minute 7 minutes left, I'm gonna take the foil off and turn the broiler on so that it can give a little bit of color on the cheese. And that's for about 5 to 7 minutes, no more, because that broiler is kind of special. And that's it. Bye. Oh my, I was doing something and I just lost my train of thought. Oh, I know what I'm doing. How long will that last for? Tonight. And they might bring some for lunch, and it's done. Yeah, just tonight. Thank you. You say you wish your mom would make lasagna? We don't really make it very often. Like, we don't make it very often. Prime Early Access, they have the Peloton on here. And I'm like, is this the bike or is this just the clothes? It's the bike. So right now, Prime Early Access is selling the Peloton bike for $1,225 if you're really interested in a Peloton bike. You going to the salon in the morning? No, I have a class to teach tomorrow. That's what I'll be doing tomorrow. Yeah, try ground chicken instead of the ground turkey. The chicken actually has a lot more flavor than the turkey. But ground chicken is like, it's a common thing, but it's like you see more ground turkey than you see ground chicken. Definitely. Yeah, you typically, like the ground chicken is usually organic ground chicken. Sometimes Publix might have it too. It's kind of rare, but Winn-Dixie is the one that actually had the ground chicken. Yes, Grasshopper, the issue has been resolved because I figured out where to remove the code. So now it no longer exists. Absolutely, the issue is over. That was one of the worst issues. Yeah. But like I said, the moon spices went out today, so I'm hoping that I get them within the next couple of days. And then the moon spice will drop. So you guys get excited, get ready. It's not a lot of bottles, I promise. It's not a lot of jars. It really is not. Because this, like, it takes a lot of spices to make moon spice. But we're also gonna have a dry version of it too. So you don't have to have the wet version. You can also get the dry version, or you can get it as a combo where you get the dry and the wet so that you can use both whenever needed. I'm hungry right now. That's why I keep watching the time. It's like, okay, it's only 23 minutes. That's what's left. So yeah. But all right, you guys, I'm going to post the story of the finished product so you guys will get to see it when it's done. Be on the lookout for the YouTube short of my lasagna. But I'll see you guys later. Peace.